Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam and this is HomeFront Wargaming. In the past, gamers used to joke that solo wargaming was really just playing with yourself. But the fact of the matter is that solo wargaming is everywhere now. Especially after the pandemic, people are playing more and more solo games, and I can see why. So I'm going to draw a little bit of a comparison here between the wargaming community and video games. For me growing up, one of the video games that I really loved the most, or one of the styles of video games I should say, was real-time strategy games. So I enjoyed games like Age of Empires, Stronghold, the Stronghold series, all of them together, really. Battle for Middle Earth, I thought was an amazing game. In fact, I still play it to this day. And one of the things that always drew me to real-time strategy games was the fact that I liked the idea of myself being in command, in control of a large force of people. I was the general. All my little characters on the screen were my minions, my army, and I had a lot of fun playing that. And of course, when you're playing video games, you're playing against a computer opponent, an NPC, that has pre-generated moves that it's going to do based off of things that you do. It can become predictable over time, but it was still fun nonetheless. You usually have different difficulty modes from easy to hard and sometimes extreme mode. Now, I've never really been big into like the competitive online gaming scene. As a young man growing up, as an adult, I dabbled here and there, but I was never really into it. Newsflash, I'm a little bit of an introverted person, so I've always enjoyed just being able to be by myself and do my own thing. So I'm definitely more of a single player type of person when it comes to video games. The comparison to wargaming isn't so different. The difference is that I think that a lot of people look at wargaming as a very social interaction, a social hobby. You spend time crafting all of your terrain, you spend time painting all of your miniatures, learning the rules, and it's really special to be able to get together with a group of people and play a nice game, especially if you've got a really well thought out scenario and everything comes together and it's epic and cinematic. But the problem is that as adults, we tend to not have as much time to get together with our friends, to get together with our family, and play these big epic war games that we want to do. And we can savor that time that we do have, but it can get few and far between. A common theme amongst wargamers is that they have difficulty finding people that are not only playing their hobby, or that are within the hobby of wargaming, but that are playing the kind of games that they want to play. Take me, for example. I would consider myself a bit of a unicorn in the sense that I would pretty much try any game at least once, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, historicals, any sort of abstract games. I'm more than willing to like get into and play just about anything that I felt like could be interesting. Or even if I didn't like the game, the painting opportunities with a lot of the miniatures would draw me into that, and the game would just be a bonus. A lot of people and a lot of the feedback that I've read online or from listening to people in real time is that they have a hard time finding people that are interested in the exact kind of war game that they want to play. You've got your die-hard sci-fi and fantasy players. Games Workshop is the biggest company that you can buy them from, and they're relatively expensive. And the people who spend the money on those miniatures and paint them, they take a lot of pride in it, and they want to be able to find other 40K players to play with. And it's very similar with the Middle Earth battle strategy game. I believe that's the title of it. Great looking miniatures, and the people who are the purists, they take a lot of time to paint them so that way they are perfectly canon and they match with the movies and the shows, and they want to get together with like-minded people and play those games. You've got your, of course, die-hard historical wargamers that will only play, Napoleonics, or maybe they only play American Civil War, the World War II skirmish level games, which is probably the biggest one. And those are very, very popular genres, and there are people all over the world that play them, but you're not always going to have them within a proximity where you can get together and play. And of course, there is ways that you can play war games with people online via Zoom or Discord, and that did become very popular, especially during the pandemic. People are starting to want to get back into the tabletop games with other people, and it's just not super practical as adults, especially if you have kids. Being able to work around their schedules when it comes to sports, when it comes to all these other things, can be very difficult. I know myself, I have 4 kids and they keep me incredibly busy, where some days I don't have as much time to spend painting, let alone playing the game. And especially not being able to set up playing a game with somebody else. Now, obviously, you've seen here on the channel that I play war games with my kids, and I've been able to get them involved. I'm very fortunate that they are happy to play with me. But kids have shorter attention spans, and they have a lot of other things they want to do. So I can't always rely on having them around when I need them or when I feel like I want to play a game to be able to get them to the table to play. I've played war games with other members of my family, and my dad, of course, is more than willing to come here and help me film content for this channel, or just we'll sit down and play a pickup game. We play a lot of war board games as well, specifically Axis and Allies. It's one of our favorites, and we'll be coming into that season soon. And I'm very fortunate that my dad's retired, but not everybody has a retired dad that only lives 15 minutes away, that's 70 years old, almost 70 years old, and willing to come down and play a war game with him. So that brings us back to solo games and why it is that they can be really great for yourself and for the hobby. So one of the really nice things about solo wargaming is the fact that you can put as much prep time into it as you want. If you have pieces of terrain that you need to paint, or you need to make your own trees, clump foliage, all that good stuff, you can really take weeks, months, years to get everything ready for a specific project and make it exactly how you want it. The same thing goes with the miniatures that you're painting. A lot of times people who are playing in tournaments or at a club feel a little bit pressured to get miniatures on the table. They probably could paint them better, but they're going to get them just good enough for the 3-foot rule. And I think that most gamers go by that anyway. But you will get a lot of satisfaction if you can take that extra time to add the details to make your miniatures something that you really enjoy, that you never have to go back and touch up and they're always pristine. At least I know that's the way that I am. I've lately been much more into heavier detail work with my miniatures, and the fact that I don't have the pressures of going to a club or a convention or a tournament allows me to do that at my own pace. One of the great things about solo wargaming, of course, is the fact that you don't have a time constraint as far as how long you can take to play the game. I think that a lot of times we find that if you're sitting down with somebody else, you really want to have a resolution to your game. If I am playing something like the Battle of Oriskany, for example, first video that we had on the channel here, where I had quite a few of my family over to play that game, we made a big thing out of it where we had food and we took breaks and we did all this other stuff, and it was several hours of playing. You don't want people to walk away from that experience feeling like they didn't know the resolution to the battle. People want to play to the very end. They'll oftentimes play to the very last man if that's the case. When you don't get together as often to play these games, you sure as heck don't want to cut it short. But when you're solo wargaming, it's the exact opposite. It might take me an hour or two just to set up my table. I might be able to barely get off one full turn before then something in my life, or maybe just my own exhaustion, takes over and I decide that I'm done. When you're playing a solo war game, you can set up a game and you can play it at your leisure. I can play for half hour here and there if I want to. I can play every single night religiously for 2 hours a night for the next 3 weeks, and it doesn't matter because I'm just playing with myself, and whenever I'm ready to quit, I can pick it all up and quit. A nice thing about solo games is that you can really get into the narrative of your games. I mean, when you're playing with somebody else, it's hard to really get into any sort of a role-playing aspect with your miniatures and everything like that, because you're fighting head-to-head, and you want to, like I said, you want to see that resolution, so it's really more about the battle. But when I'm playing solo, I can really get into the minds of my commanders, of my boots on the ground. I can, as nerdy as it is, I can do voices for people. I can really have those epic moments. And because of the fact that if you're playing a solo game where you're playing both sides, you can really feel the emotion and the struggle and that cinematic feel for both teams. And if you're playing a war game where you're playing against some sort of an AI, this is great too, because it just adds so much unpredictability. You don't know what's going to happen from round to round. Solo war games are great too because of the fact that a lot of solo systems that have an AI enemy usually are set up for co-op as well. So if you can learn it in solo play, you can usually pass it on and then start playing with a friend or a family member. And solo wargaming is great because it allows you to fully learn a system. I mean, that was how I learned War Master. War Master, to me, was a complicated game to learn, and I didn't learn it until just a few years ago. And so, not being a diehard, not having known anything about it, to be able to pick it up and start playing it for the first time, I would never have been able to do it with somebody else. It would have been way too frustrating, but I was able to take the time, set up a little game, go back and forth, restart, play a couple rounds, realize I was doing something wrong, restart, go back to the reference sheet, and do all this stuff over and over again for a couple of weeks until finally I was able to fluidly go through a full turn. And once I realized that what I was doing was correct and matching up with some of the videos online, then I felt comfortable enough to play it with somebody else. So solo wargaming to me is really important for the hobby. It allows you to have that time by yourself, not have any time constraints, really take the time to make quality pieces and miniatures and really make your game experience how you want it to be, learn rules and just have fun and enjoy the hobby side of it. And don't put any time limit on yourself and just really have fun. So that's my little speech about solo wargaming. I know I've done a video before about solo wargaming, but I wanted this one to be a little bit more candid, unscripted, just kind of me talking. I'd like to do a follow-up video at some point where I actually put forth a list of what I would think would be like the top maybe 10 games, whether they're fantasy, sci-fi, historical. And so let me know if that's something that you guys are interested in seeing. But if you've stuck around to this point, make sure that you like this video. Go ahead and subscribe, and I really appreciate you guys watching this whole thing all the way to the end. So, as always, my name is Sam from HomeFront Wargaming. Thank you for watching.